Elderly widow survives 5 weeks on cheese left over from her husband's funeral. A vulnerable widow survived for 5 weeks on leftover cheese from her husband's funeral after blundering officials stopped her pension. Diane Garrity, 76, was meant to receive £166 a week, but the payments suddenly stopped in early May as staff thought she had died. She grew weaker and lost 2 stone until a complete stranger became her savior. He saw her looking distressed in the front garden when walking past and helped her to uncover the mix-up. The pensioner had kept her plight secret from friends and family, including her 2 sons living in America. "It's the way I was brought up, to be independent and look after myself," she said. "I didn't want to go banging on people's doors. It would have felt like begging. I lived off leftover cheese from my husband's funeral. I just had a couple of slices each day. I know it seems mad, but I wasn't thinking straight at the time." Her pension and injury disablement benefit had stopped after her husband of 25 years Joseph died from pulmonary complications on April 20. Mrs. Garrity, of Lowestoft, Suffolk, made inquiries with her bank but without success. The lack of food and emotional toll of her bereavement made her increasingly frail. "I was confused and upset. I didn't want to go outside because I was all over the place and people would have thought I was drunk," she said. "I was frightened to use the phone because I didn't have any money to pay the bill. I was so weak I thought I was going to die. I had to use my husband's stairlift to get up the stairs. I had terrible nerves and lost 2 stone in weight. I didn't know which way to turn." She was finally saved in mid-June by the kindness of passerby David Kinsella, 67, who saw her in the garden. "She looked like she was about to burst into tears, so I started chatting to her and she told me this awful story," he said. "The poor lady was in a right state, no money for food or anything at all. She seemed all alone in the world." Mr. Kinsella helped her get emergency supplies from the Lowestoft Food Bank and contacted the Department for Work and Pensions. "David was my savior," said Mrs. Garrity. "The people at the food bank were so nice. That first slice of bread and butter was heaven. They brought me a sandwich and a big mug of tea. They gave me 2 big bags of food." With Mr. Kinsella's support, she was paid the arrears and is now receiving her correct payments. The Department for Work and Pensions apologized unreservedly for the administrative error and said an urgent case review was being carried out. But Mrs. Garrity said, "It's dreadful this happened. If other elderly people are going through this, they could starve to death. It's an awful thing."